Hello everyone, this is Mr. Informal back with a new edition of the Mr. Informal Podcast. I know there wasn't a podcast as of last week, but that's fine. We are back now. We are on the 23rd edition of the podcast. I hope you are all doing well today, and hopefully you will learn something today in this podcast, as you should or you usually do. So there are 4 topics for today. ASOS and BooHoo, or as ASOS, has overtaken H&M and Zara as the kings of fast fashion retail. Second one is the collaboration between Fragment and Louis Vuitton. Fragment Design and Louis Vuitton. It's a small collaboration, so you will get my take on that. Third topic is up-and-coming brands or companies are actually producing their goods here domestically compared to brands that are doing it overseas or doing it some other country other than, it could be Canada or Mexico. But it's interesting how these small brands are actually doing domestic, and you will get my input on that. The last one is shop locals and also smaller events. As you know, on my website, you saw the Melrose Trading Post events. I went there, and there's a lot of these events actually happening, and I've noticed there's actually a lot of them. Every month, there's always something that's popping out in these types of events. And so those are the 4 topics for today in this podcast. So let's start with the first one. So I'm reading an article in Hypebeast. So basically, as of right now, H&M and Zara are the kings of fast fashion retail. But in the report by Quartz through Goldman Sachs, British fashion retailers ASOS and BooHoo are able to conceive, design, and produce and have clothing ready for shoppers on sales floor quicker than Zara and H&M, according to Goldman Sachs. Not only that, ASOS sales growth went up to 30%, while BooHoo went up to 50%, and both brands are from the UK. So it basically tells me that both of these companies can have quicker clothes than H&M and Zara. But remember, folks, it's all about quality, not always the price, and not always how fast you can get the goods, because it's always come down to design, whether the consumers likes it or not. If you have fast fashion and you can get quicker garments on the sales floor, it doesn't mean that consumers will buy it. It just depends on the design, the quality, and the price. So it all comes those 3 things. But you have to take this in consideration, because a company that is both from the UK have sales growth of 30% and also 50%. That tells you that's a pretty big jump in the sales growth of these big companies that is bigger than Zara and also H&M. Not only that, both of these companies have this this plan called 4-week design to store. So basically you have 4 weeks to design, produce, and ship. Wow, that's really fast. I really doubt they actually have that time to even design, unless they already had a design already and then just change the color and then boom, ship and then to store. I think that's how it is, because there is no way they're gonna start from scratch and suddenly produce and ship that quick. I'm not entirely sure about that. But what do I really think of this? It makes me think that consumers are not just looking for Zara and H&M for their clothes. They're also looking at other companies, whether it be their competition or whether it be from other brands or even local brands. But it's a bit in this industry, especially in the fast fashion, the competition is very fierce, is very high. So these companies are providing the trendier outfits or clothes faster than Zara and H&M. But the thing about H&M is they are very trendy. They have a lot of clothes. Certainly, they have a lot of designs. They also know how to plan their collection correctly. And you have Zara. They take their time, but they're still in a fast fashion retailer. Not only that, they make quality goods. They're not bad. I buy some of their clothes too, but it also makes me realize that ASOS and BooHoo might want to expand to a different market. Maybe their next target is the US. So if they do decide to come here in the US, it's definitely very, very competitive, because I have not seen an ASOS or even a BooHoo where I live. And where I live is definitely a city. And where I live is definitely very concentrated. So we got a lot of brands in here. So it's definitely interesting how these two brands are gonna make out. I mean, they seem like they have a plan, but the fact is, can they maintain it just like H&M and Zara can? So we'll see how that goes. So as you know, there are a lot of collaboration nowadays. Small capsule collection, small pop-up shops, small collaboration that could have 5-item collection to 10, or depending on the collaboration. And we have another one. It is the fragment design from Japan and Louis Vuitton from Paris. The collection consists of t-shirts with the Louis Vuitton logo on the shoulder. We got tote bags, you got wallets, you got messenger bags, you got even a bear, you got a Letterman jacket, you have a hat, you have button-up shirts, you have clutches. I mean, you got obviously the Louis Vuitton insignia or the pattern logo. So what do I think of this collection? Oh, and one more thing, they do have a Louis Vuitton and fragment design iPhone cases, iPhone 7 cases. So what do I think of this collection? So if you're watching this, you can see the pictures. This collection to me is alright. I don't see anything special about it other than the fragment design logo. See, this is one of those situations where I wish fragment design would do more than just logos and adding their insignia or adding just a little bit of something to make it different. I really don't understand. To me, I think the fragment design should have designed this, not Louis Vuitton, because it looks like it's just Louis Vuitton silhouette on just stamping all with the fragment design collection. And this is why I think I am disappointed in this collection, because fragment design, to me, when they actually design something, it's actually great, it's phenomenal, it's something unique, it's something new, it's actually quite refreshing. But in this case, it's really, how should I say this, lazy. I don't see anything special about it. I guess the only thing that I would say differently about it was the button-up shirt with the gradient Louis Vuitton logos in there. So maybe that's the only one. And the bear. The bear is actually quite collectible. I kind of like it. And other than that, I don't see anything special about this collection. And I'm sure if you're a fragment design fan, you might want to have it or not. But looking at it from an outside view, I don't see anything special about it. Maybe Louis Vuitton did not give them the space or the time to say, hey, you can change some things here, but I'm not gonna allow you to change a lot of things. But maybe that's the case, because it really depends on this collection. Maybe the main focal point of this collection to me would probably the Letterman jacket, because you got the Louis V and you got the fragment and the F. That's really nice. From Paris to Tokyo is a collaboration, but sadly this collaboration is quite disappointing. Man, I really wish that collaboration could be much more interesting other than just adding logos to certain shirts. I really like to see a collaboration between Izzy Miyake or even Yohji Yamamoto. That'd be nice, right? Or even Rei Kawakubo. And a collaboration between Vince Staples or Raf Simons. You never know. It'd be interesting. So, Third topic is these small up and coming brands or small companies producing their goods domestically here in the US. So I always keep myself up in the industry, and the trend right now is that a lot of these small brands don't want to take the risk when it comes to overseas. They rather do it domestically to control the quality, to control their goods, to basically know every step of the process. That way they're in control, because when they have their garments produced overseas, then it means that it could be a longer lead time. They don't know the quality, no one inspect these goods, they could be having a wrong type of item, no one knows. And plus it takes a long time, and you can't just visit back and forth compared to domestic, where you can easily drive up and then you can check it out. And not only that, I think a lot of these small brands are also want to bring back jobs here in America, because we have a new president and he wants to bring jobs here in America, and maybe that's what they plan to do. But for the most part, I actually think that this is a good idea. When you're a small company and you want to have everything controlled, you want to know what's going on, then you should start out domestically. But you have to remember that the prices is certainly going to be higher compared to a different country, or it could be a different place. But at the same time, that money is worth it to them, because at least they can just go over, they know what's going on, they can always inspect it at any time. So that value of time and also that job actually worth the money. And so that's how they see it as, and I'm not mad for that. So when it comes down to it, is that it really depends on what type, on where you want your production to be, and also how you see yourself as. Do you see your brand as only domestic type of brand, or are you domestic and import? It really depends. But then again, in these times, I do agree with their decision that it's better to do it domestic, because again, when you're a smaller brand, you want to make sure your goods are good. You can sell to a certain customer, everything's quality, the price is reasonable, and you got a good team going on here, and you can also set up shop here with no problems. But when you do become bigger, a lot of these brands suddenly start looking for international production. And when that happens, obviously some of the domestic production suddenly goes away, and it's quite sad. But it is what it is. But it's interesting how the market is, because usually back maybe 5 years ago and even 10 years ago, these smaller brands would start out overseas production, but now they actually want to start domestic production. It is quite interesting. Now, a lot of these smaller brands and these types of trends, I actually get to know because I'm in the industry and I've been told, I've heard about it, and so it's not just coming out of nowhere. It's actually, I've been told by this, and I've been hearing about this, I've spoken about it, so it's quite interesting. And so we're into the last topic, which is the local events of shop locals, or even antique fairs or events, whether it be a event of one area where you get to see locally made goods and being shopped around there, and you got music, you got food. It's a festivity, I guess. Just like in the post that I made on Melrose Trading Post, check it out, MrInformal.com. You get to see me going around seeing vintage items or even newer items by local artists, locally made goods, whether it be a candle, a bag, garments. It could be jackets or even pants or even business cards or stationery types, and it's quite interesting. Every month lately this has been going on. Maybe it's because a lot of consumers are not being exposed. I think this is a great event, because if you are in this event, you are awareing that these consumers that, hey, you don't, not all of your items can be made overseas. It can also be made here. You got talented people here that can make candles, that can make bags, that can make clothes, and you also got different types of people who can also make other stuff. So support your local artists, support local company to keep them going. And not only that, they are unique. When I go to these places, I've seen some newer stuff compared to when I go to the mall or even when I go online. I get to see stuff, and not only that, if you buy stuff, there's no shipping included, and if you pay cash, there's no tax included. So that's one great benefit off of that. But these types of events, they are actually happening every month, like I said, and every week, or even, I'll give you an example. The Rose Bowl Festival in Pasadena, they have the Rose Bowl flea market every Sunday of the month. It's always happening. You got antiques, you got vintage stuff, you got furniture, you also got some newer stuff, and then you also got these events that are in Orange County or even in Los Angeles, such as I went to the other week. So that's great. And so I'm also going to one actually in April 22, this Saturday coming up. So check me out, MrInformal.com. I'll be going to the Shop Used, Shop Local. So that's why I'm talking about this, but I'm not going to talk about why I'm going there. I'm basically talking about these events are happening every month because, again, a lot of these people are probably, actually, let me give you a few reasons why. Okay, one, these people are tired of their jobs, 9 to 5. They want to make their own stuff. They want to provide their own stuff, provide their own income. Two, people want to sell old stuff, right? So they want to make more money, make more passive income. Three, to aware the consumers or people like us that, hey, you got talented people in this area that are creating these stuff. And then four, is that it's just a local celebration and festivity for people, for family to come and check it out. So it's a great event, and it can also provide marketing, business opportunity, entrepreneurship. So everything seems to go great, right? And not only that, providing your stuff is not that expensive. And so that basically concludes that topic. And so it also concludes this podcast of the 23rd edition podcast of Mr. Informal. I hope you learned something today. And again, it's another week, another month. We're in April. And so I will see you in the next podcast. This is Mr. Informal. Check out MrInformal.com. And maybe you'll see me in public one of these days. Bye-bye.